Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this first District Council of the Rotary year 21-22. Very warm welcome to all of you. Thanks for committing the time, taking the time out of your weekend to join us this morning and to talk about a range of key issues relevant to our district. I can see we've got over 100 Rotarians on the Zoom call this morning, which is great. And as of yesterday, we had 61 clubs confirmed as attending, with 7 apologies. I think at this stage, I would just like to note with sadness the passing of past district governor John Clark, which is fairly recent, a founding member of Leaving Rotary Club. Passed on sincere condolences on behalf of everyone within the district to Michael, John's son, and also sadly of past assistant governor Sandy Farquharson, who looked after Area 7 and also passed away recently. And similarly, I've passed on our collective sincere condolences to Angie, his daughter, and Lillian, his partner. As you know, the theme for the Rotary year that we're in, as I've mentioned a few times, from Rotary International President Sheikh Mehta, is Dare to Change Lives. And never has this been more relevant. I think we could all agree as we get back into all of the things that we love about Rotary as we start to come out of lockdown and look to how we best support our members and also our communities and navigate the strange times that we are going through at this moment in time. And of course, making Rotary relevant is the collective challenge that I've set for all of us for this Rotary year. And I would argue that never has Rotary had the opportunity to be more relevant. So that focus on service is definitely what's needed from us as Rotarians now more than ever. And of course, the way that we do that also allows us to work together as Rotarians with all the fun and the friendship that comes from working together to make a difference. And as we know, Rotary is about all of these things. Of course, as we all know, where Rotary happens is at club level, which is why I'm so delighted to see so many of you on the call this morning and so many clubs represented. And the sole purpose of my role as district governor and the district team as a whole, who are on the call as well, is to support clubs to deliver on your priorities and to continue to make a difference in your communities. So I hope that the first few months of the year have gone well for you. I know that clubs have been understandably cautious about moving to face-to-face or a hybrid format of meetings, and to make sure that we all continue to include all Rotarians in a way that everybody is comfortable with. But I also know that we're all welcoming the ability where we can to get back to delivering and to planning the events and activities that Rotary is known for and that keep us engaged with and relevant to our communities. There's no getting away from the fact that forever will the phrases "you're on mute" and "my Wi-Fi is down" live on long in our memories. But as author Lisa Wingate once put it, dawn comes after the darkness, and I like to think of where we are just now in that particular way, with the new opportunities that the post-COVID era brings and the challenges of it increasingly behind us, and particularly the light that Rotary can shine on these challenging times. Like the increased sense of community, which I've been out when I've been talking to clubs, I know everybody's feeling that. People have rediscovered the value of being connected to their neighbours and each other, reconnected as well to family and friends, and making choices that are impacted by just being able to really appreciate the time that we can get with our loved ones, and a greater value placed on our ability to spend time with each other, of course, as well. And lots to do to help communities recover and renew. And I think for Rotary, real opportunities to partner with community organisations and individual community leaders to support that. I see lots of green shoots of that already happening, which is wonderful. And that's the opportunity for Rotary just now. I think we've got a real moment in time, as I've said before, to both lead and to contribute to that recovery and renewal. So basically, we've no better time than now to really start to change lives in the way that Shaker has challenged us to do, and to make Rotary relevant to the lives of the many and not the few, either as Rotarians or through the difference that we as Rotarians can make to people's lives. And of course, extending that gift of Rotary to as many people as possible remains our focus, and the focus of the district team, working with clubs, working with you, to create a range of experiences and opportunities to engage with Rotary in a way which is relevant and attractive to as wide a range of people as possible. We also need to continue to make new members and existing members, however long serving, welcome within Rotary, and that's at least equally important. Active and engaged Rotarians is ultimately what we want and need in people working with us to help us deliver on our priorities. So age is not an issue. Being active and involved and contributing Rotarians is the thing that we want, and diversity, of course, continues to be a challenge for us that we all need to be alert to. But ultimately, the best way for us to offer the gift of Rotary that we all love so much is to be visible and active, and we're now getting an opportunity to do that again. What we need now, and increasingly to offer, is a product and experience that people want to be part of and want to remain part of in the longer term. It's as simple and as complicated as that. I was looking at the figures this morning with Cast Help. We're up 8 members across our clubs since the 1st of July. Plus the 21 members who formed the basis of the new Angus Glens Club. We've got 16 clubs have recruited members, 13 have lost members. So something we need to keep an eye on, and it'll be good to hear as part of today's meeting from IPDG Alistair, our district membership chair this year, where we need to be focusing our efforts and how the district team can work with clubs to do that and to deliver on what's important to you and what you know about your communities, and to hear as well about what some clubs are doing to address these challenges. And of course, we continue to be committed to delivering on the recommendations from the membership task force and the invaluable work delivered by them last Rotary year to address the ongoing challenges which we face. And thanks again to those of you who supported that work. As you'll also hear more about today, we've started to move resources in the budget in the district in such a way as to make additional funds available to clubs to support membership development and public image activities as they undergo their own recovery and renewal post-COVID in clubs. And also the proposal to not charge district fees again for 21-22 to create more flexibility within clubs to invest in key priority areas. I've been enjoying meeting with many clubs already, which is great, and thanks to those of you who have afforded me the opportunity to join meetings either face-to-face or online. And I look forward to meeting individual Rotarians and groups of clubs over the rest of the year and to hearing more about what clubs are doing, and importantly, how we in district can best support you in delivering on your priorities and to addressing the needs of your local communities and internationally too. It's also been great to see so many of you. Thanks for coming along to the first DG drop-in session run by DG Chirpy, which was a nickname that somebody gave me this morning for being quite upbeat on a Sunday morning, so that might stick. If you haven't been along to one of these yet, then please do come along to a future one. We have one tomorrow, in fact, with the theme around Rota Kids, which was the request of members at the last session, excuse me, which involves parents and head teachers as well. So that's tomorrow at 6:30 for no more than an hour, which I think will be a really great session. And then the next one's in October. They're not always on a Monday to try and maximise attendance opportunities. As you'll know, engaging with and supporting young people is a real key focus for me personally this year. And I was delighted that we managed to secure pilot status for the district for the Seeds of Social Action programme, which Douglas Scott of West Fife Rotary Club will be talking to us a little bit more about today too. And we're continuing to plan for the district conference. John Johnson, our Learning and Development Chair, supporting me with that. And the plan is for the conference to take place on Saturday, the 18th of June, 2022 in Glenrothes in Fife. And I really look forward to welcoming as many of you there as possible and to celebrating Rotary together again. We also intend to offer online opportunities so that the conference is as accessible for everybody as it possibly can be. I'm also keen to encourage working together across clubs in any way that we can, and to look at delivering an annual Rotary Day of Service for the district, which was something that, again, Sheikh Mehta was keen to encourage us to do, which I think is a great thing to raise awareness of what Rotary is doing in the district, and also offers the opportunity to grow our membership and develop new partnerships. With environment as our area of focus, I think there's some real opportunities intergenerationally there as well. And also initiatives like the Queen's Green Canopy to get involved in as part of a UK-wide celebration of the Jubilee. So in short, I think we've got a great opportunity to take Rotary out to the community just now, to join forces to maximise impact and invite individuals and communities in to what Rotary represents. So taking Rotary out, bringing the community in, making Rotary relevant remains our challenge and our opportunity in my view. So I look forward to continuing to work with you all to deliver on these goals throughout this Rotary year and to a useful and productive District Council this morning. And thanks so much again for coming along to support the meeting. Thank you. So I think I now move on with my formal duties. Is that correct, District Secretary Cass? I think it is.
That is correct, Jess. If you move to the minutes of the last meeting, please.
Indeed. So I'm looking for a proposer and a seconder for the minutes, please, which were distributed in advance of this meeting, so that we can record them as being an accurate record of the meeting. I think IPDG Alistair has his hand up as a proposer of the minutes. I can't see many other people, folks. I'll need a hand.
Ken has put his hand up. Thank you.
Thanks, folks. Thank you very much for that. Much appreciated. Now, reports from, moving on to reports from the executive and team leaders. We have a few team leaders who are looking to speak to the report. Now, let me just work that through. David Fryer and Mary McLeish, I think you guys are looking to speak to your reports as a joint contribution, is that correct?
Quite happy to go first if the time is now. Is that yes?
The time is now.
Great, thank you. Morning, fellow Rotarians. We have a brief report before you. I just would like to highlight a couple of things. I ask you to, let's just reflect on what District Governor Heather just said. We are going through strange and difficult times. We're not out of the woods yet. A lot of folks seem to believe it's all over. And certainly my experience as somebody who's involved in major community projects is there is what I call community fatigue. So we must remember that everybody is recovering from COVID as it's hit them. So we must pace ourselves and gradually reintroduce ourselves and gently raise expectations, giving some very good, clear and distinct focuses. And within community and vocation itself, Malcolm Rooney is giving a great lead on environmental issues. Neil has stepped up to greatly pick up what good work Bill did for Gavel, and that's a focus in itself. And then there's still Kids Out. I'd like to offer up a request. You can help the district teams, not just community and vocation, if you would share what you're doing and certainly bring to the attention of Malcolm and Neil who your club contacts are, and that will help the communication and ease the communication between ourselves, because that way we give a stronger, clearer message and we can promote very much what we do. Very relevant issues. Environment is the big one that's not going to go away, and certainly it's got to focus this year. So against this report, it's offering that request. Please bring that contact information up to date. That helps the sharing of further information, the sharing of projects. It's how we can learn and support each other. I mentioned about COVID fatigue. I'll just offer you one local experience in Aberdeen. Out of all the community councils, 1 in 3 didn't form this year. And that's a record, a sad record to share with you. And it's because folk are tired, burnt out and exhausted. And they're saying to themselves, how best can I give my time to support my family and my community and get through these strange and difficult times? Can I just, the offer and the ask is, let's just keep that in mind as we go forward and we pace ourselves as we grow ourselves. And that, I hope, is a message that will apply to everything we're saying here today. Thank you.
Thanks, David. Mary, did you want to contribute?
Just very quickly, just to reiterate what David's saying, I know everybody's Zoom fatigued, etc. But you'll see from our reports, we have ambitious plans to put on a project fair towards the end of the year. And like David, it would be much appreciated if people would keep in touch with what they're doing in international projects and how they would like to participate. And hopefully we can make it something that would involve everyone. And a plug for us, the international team, we will have our assembly type meeting on the 9th of October, where everyone from the team will introduce themselves, let them know what they can do to help you and what's happening. Thank you. I know your time's precious. Thanks, Sarah.
you, Mary. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. So moving on then, I'd like to invite Ewan Hatchwell, District Treasurer, please, to contribute to the meeting.
Good morning. Let's kick off with some screen sharing. If I can just see where we are. The sun in my eyes. Ah, the sun's shining too brightly in Aberdeen, hey?
Now there's something you don't hear every day.
Yeah, there we
Sun shining
go.
too
Yeah,
brightly in Aberdeen.
need to turn the light down, huh? There we go. Yeah. So,
So you're looking for presentation.
I am. Yeah. Have you?
So
Can you
go
see
down
that?
to if you go down to the bottom of your screen, see where the little yellow square is there, and then if you go 3 along, there's something that looks like a little flip chart stand. Go right down to the bottom. Yep, and just along a little. Yep, click there. Click on that one. Yep, there you go.
Are we going that better? That's better. Okay. So looking at the accounts for last year, and they were issued to the clubs, to you all on the 29th of August. Kath sent them out. They have been examined by our Chartered Accountants Independent Examination, MG Archbold. Just a few comments on them. Total income was significantly less than in the previous year, particularly due to 0 club dues and also reduced grant from Rotary GB&I. However, total expenditure was substantially less than in the previous year, and obviously, as we know, the pandemic caused cancellation of many activities, and Zoom meetings and the online conference incurred minimal costs. So the result of that was that the general reserves increased substantially to £133,000. Now, as I say, you've had the accounts, and District Council will be requested to approve the accounts for the year ending 30th of June 2021. But before that, we do that, just looking at where we are now. So looking at this current year, Rotary GB&I reduced the district grant that was paid to our district, and although our district gets the largest district grant in the UK, it was reduced to £18,600, £7,000 less than last year, and we expect a further reduction next year. At this time, I haven't requested district dues capitation from the clubs, and if we don't charge any district dues, and with expenditures as approved in the budget a few months ago, general reserves are forecast to be £84,000 as of the end of this current year, which is still £26,000 above the agreed £58,000. And so you will, as we had an approved budget that showed us paying dues of £7 per head, you will be asked to approve a change in that budget to go for district dues of 0 for this current year. Just for your information, the RILA accounts were issued, and they've been examined also by MMG Archbold. The accounts were approved by the RILA trustees at the RILA AGM about a month ago. Sadly, as you'll know, the pandemic caused the cancellation again of the RILA camps this year. However, of course, payments that have been made by clubs to our district RILA account are being carried forwards to next year's camps. And just looking at the disaster funds, as we all know, Lebanon, Beirut explosion, August last year had horrific consequences. And I just saw in the news that there's a strong likelihood of a total power failure, so no power, no electricity in Beirut. So it's an ongoing tragic situation there. However, clubs were very generous, and we sent £24,300 via a district account, $31,100 US. We sent that to the Beirut Cedars Rotary Club, and they and others are continuing to do a number of things to help the hungry and vulnerable in Beirut. And we have a district disaster fund. We took £1,000 from that and sent it to Beirut, and it now stands at £2,600. So, any questions, comments? I don't mind that. So
thanks, Ewan. I don't see any hands up.
There are two motions then, that the district council approves the accounts for last year, the 2020-2021 accounts, and then a second motion that the district council approves district's use of zero for the current year. I'm proposing both the motions, and District Foundation Chair Bill Ross is seconding them. So I'll stop sharing and let Kath deal with the accounts there. So
Thank you very much, Ewan. So if we can move to the first vote, which, as Ewan says, is that the District Council approve district accounts. Some of you, I see, have got 2 votes because you have a personal vote. So at first, may I have the club votes? So those in favour of approving the district accounts, will you show by using reactions to put up a hand, please? Thank you. Can you put your hands back down? And if you have a personal vote now, can you show it? So the personal votes are past district governors, district executive and district team leaders. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. And that's for the motion. May I see anyone now who is against that motion? Just put a hand up if you're against. And any personal votes. Okay, as far as I can see, that's carried unanimously. So we move to the second vote, second motion, which is the District Council approves that district dues are now zero for 2021-2022. If you have a club, if you're the club representative, will you show your hand if you agree with that? Thank you. Any personal votes now? I'm sorry about this, but I have to scroll through screens. Okay, and now if you put your hand down if you voted for, if there is anyone against these motions, will you show now, please? Okay. Both those motions are carried then, so that we have approved the district accounts for 2021, and the council has approved that there will be no district dues charged or be zero for this year, 2021-2022. Hand back now to DG.
Thanks, Kath, and thank you everybody for voting. Now I'm going to hand over to IPDG Alistair Robb, who is going to lead an input on membership. Over to you, Alistair.
Thank you very much, Heather. I'm going to screen share here, so bear with me just a second till I get this up on my screen. Okay, you won't be surprised at all to hear that I want to talk about membership today, because membership in our district is in decline. And most of you will have already heard me say that when I visited your clubs earlier on this year. And as I said at that time, I know every club is aware of the need for new members. And I know that every club is out there actively looking to recruit new people into Rotary. But so far, with a few exceptions, it's just not working, is it? Everyone wants to see Rotary progress, and everybody wants to see their club develop and improve. This cannot happen without new members. I'm sorry, it can't happen. So club development must go hand in hand with membership development. So that's why what I'm saying is we need to change how we think about membership in Rotary. Now, some of you may not like some of the things I'm about to say today, but hopefully if even one thing that I bring up today helps with gaining new members, then it will be worthwhile. Anyone that's worked in sales, which is where I've spent most of my life, will recognise what I'm about to show you. It's a very, very simple formula that's given to every single salesman, and it holds true regardless of that product. And Rotary membership is a product, and we need to sell it. And the simple formula given to salespeople is desire plus the ability to purchase will equal a sale. And what I'm saying is that desire plus the ability to join will equal a new member. By that, and I'm going to go on and explain it in a wee bit more detail, but you know, we've got to, if people want to join and they have the ability to join and clubs make it easy for them to join, then why will they not join? We've got to address all of these things. So I'm going to start by looking at the ability to purchase, or the ability to join part of this, as it's probably the easiest part to explain. But the ability to purchase, or the ability to join the club, is dependent on a few factors: the cost of membership, the location of meetings, the timing of meetings, and the ease of joining. So just some questions for you to consider as a club. Have you considered spreading your subs payments, allowing people to pay monthly or quarterly, something like that? That's all part of the cost of Rotary. Do you insist on members having a meal? Can members just come along and be part of the club without having to have the meal? And do you regularly tax members? And that's something that I think is something that struck home very early on. And I've told this story to so many people. But when I first joined Rotary, one of the members of the club that I was joining said, "Now, you realise before you start here that this is going to cost you £1,000 a year." And I went back to him a couple of years later and said, "You know what, if it had only cost me £1,000 a year, I'd be laughing." Because every week there was something else. Every week members were expected to pay for things, and we have to get away from that, and we have to start fundraising in our communities and using the various sources of funding that there are out there to make our clubs work more efficiently. The next thing is about location of meetings. Is the venue accessible? I've visited a number of clubs over the years, and there are quite a few of them when I go in here and I go, "I'm glad I'm not in a wheelchair, or I wouldn't be attending this meeting tonight." So think about the accessibility of your location. And is the venue expensive? Some of these places you go to are very expensive for drinks and things like that. So consider that as well when you choose the location for your meetings. And then it's on to timing of meetings. And a couple of years ago, Mark Maloney brought out the folded paper thing about the number of people who can attend meetings at times and places and things like that. Can your club accept a member who maybe can't always attend regularly? Are you open to having someone in the club who can maybe only do one meeting in 4, but they're prepared to give their service in other ways? So think about the timing of your meetings and whether or not you're prepared to have people join the club who maybe can't make as many meetings as you would like them to make. And is your joining process straightforward and transparent? I remember being told when I was asked to join that my application would go in front of the club council and be considered, and they would get back to me, etc., etc. Let's be transparent about things. We are very unlikely to turn anyone down as a member. So let's be open and honest with people and say, you know, it's going to take a week or so. The club are going to be consulted as to whether or not they're happy to have you. But I'm sure you'll be joining in a week or so's time. That's the way to do it. Let's be transparent about these sort of things. So we move away from the ability to join onto the desire. And this is the big thing. This is the thing that I feel is where we possibly let ourselves down. Do people want to join your club? And the important thing, and this has come out very much recently, do they even know that you're looking for members? I spoke to someone recently who said, "Oh, I didn't know that Rotary wanted members. I didn't know anything about that." Are you making people aware that you're looking for members? Very, very simple. Is the club attractive and open to everyone? Are there any of the barriers to membership that we've spoken about in the past? And is your programme interesting and varied? Are you active and attractive, as DGE Ken used to say so often? Do you have that signature project that grabs people's attention? The thing that makes them interested in your club, the thing that gives your club its identity, and the thing that makes people want to get involved and give their time up. Are your meetings fun or are they formal? The formal meetings are a big off-putter for people. Keep them fun, keep them light-hearted, keep them short and keep them interesting. Get rid of the chains, the toasts, the prayers, the dress code, all of these sort of things. And finally, for the desire, is what will a new member get out of joining? You can't sell something to someone without showing that that product is going to have a benefit for them. So what is that benefit going to be? And you have to focus on the benefits and not on specifically your club's needs. New members are wonderful, as this says, but it's now time to flip the question over and ask, why do new members need you? Why should someone give their time to your club? It's easy to give all the reasons why you want new members. Oh, we're getting older, we've got, you know, we're having to recycle presidents. But that can't be the story of why you want to recruit that member. You know, we need help may well be very true in so many cases, but it doesn't make, as this says, the most compelling case for joining. So let's focus on what members gain by giving their time, what they're going to get personally out of it. They're going to be making a difference. They're going to be serving in their community. They're going to be using their skills and their talents to benefit the people in that community. They're going to meet others, and they're going to get exposure not only for themselves, but possibly for their business as well. You know, let's be very, very honest about this. You have to have a good reason to join, and if one of those is that your business is going to get some exposure for it, then why not? Why not trade your time for some exposure for your business? But people will be also working for a cause that they believe in, but you've got to give them that cause to believe in. And that's what I said in the previous slide about the having the signature project. Have that key thing that people can really buy into. Because if people can have a cause like that they believe in, it will motivate them to join your club. And finally, just the pleasure of helping other people. So, the 7 steps to attracting new members. First one, and this has been true for a number of years. I remember sitting in a membership seminar at a district assembly, I think it was probably 10 or more years ago. And past district governor, past RIDI president John Manhinnick was there. And he said that in the previous year, they'd done a study at RIDI level, which showed that 94% of people who joined Rotary were still joining because someone asked them to do so. Someone asked them to join. And if we look at the voluntary sector as a whole, and that's where this statistic came from, that in the voluntary sector as a whole, 41% of people are more prepared to volunteer if they're directly asked. So how do we do that? Well, we go online. That is one of the greatest tools nowadays. Harness the social media platforms. On Twitter, for instance, use hashtags that are used by other volunteer groups, including things like hashtag volunteering and hashtag volunteer perks, these sort of things. But use those tags on all of your posts. It does work. Market your volunteering. It's not just a case of putting the name of Rotary out there, but it's about selling, I'm going to say lifestyle, that's probably not the correct word here, because there's competition. There's competition with an awful lot of activities that people have, and an awful lot of hobbies and things like that. And on top of that, competition from other volunteer organisations. But we've got to tell our story, and you've got to make sure that your club has a good story to tell. Again, back to this project, this signature project that clubs have to have. The next thing is to go public. You really need to get someone in the club who is a very PR savvy person. And when I went round clubs last year, I met a number of clubs who had a really, really good person who was there getting things in the paper for them, getting things onto Facebook and onto Twitter and things like that for them. And it was a joy, because those clubs immediately looked far more active and attractive. But let's get the word out as well to the local print press, to radio stations. Just saying we need volunteers, that it won't be a strong enough angle for them to feature. So you're going to need, again, your key project. You're going to need that story. You're going to need to give them something newsworthy. But when you give them that newsworthy thing, at the end of it, mention the fact that you're looking for new volunteers. But tag that onto part of having a good story to tell. And this is the ongoing theme that we're seeing here, isn't it? That if clubs don't have this good story to tell, then it's going to be difficult. With that, your job is much, much, much easier. Use freebies. That's the next one. What do I mean by using freebies? Well, there's an awful lot of free online resources out there. Gumtree, for instance, has a community section that covers posts about volunteering opportunities. Get on there, it costs absolutely nothing. Get out there, put something on Gumtree and just see, can't do any harm. Check out what other people are listing and make yours stand out, make it really, really stand out, and highlight the benefits of being involved with Rotary. Highlight what they're going to get out of being involved with Rotary. Head back to school, and by that what I'm saying is that every club needs, and we've spoken already there about getting PR savvy people, marketing, maybe you need help with finance, things like that. But get back to relevant courses at local colleges, local universities, techs, these sort of things. Because students want to add to their CVs, they want to get experience. And if they can get that while they're still studying, a win-win situation. You'll get some younger people involved in your club. You'll be giving them the experience that they want to add to their CVs, and hopefully, as I say, a win-win scenario for both parties. And finally, as I've already said, focus on their benefits, not your needs. Focus on what benefit they can get by coming along to your club and enhancing their CV and gaining some experience and gaining some knowledge. And also having the beauty of something on their CV saying that they're actually volunteering. And finally, I'm just going to add one more thing in here, and it's this. Some of you may just recognise this handsome chart. The important thing here, though, is not the pretty face, but the important thing here is the T-shirt. That T-shirt cost me £9.95. And I wore it to one single event so far. If I ever get it washed, I'll wear it to another one. But from that event, when I wore that T-shirt, my club has gained one new member. And we've also had another 2 prospects for us to work on. But importantly as well, the day that I wore it, it started conversations. Started with numerous people. And it's probably one of the best tenors I've ever spent. And I really would recommend every club should get some of these. If you need help with that, get in touch with me. I will sort it out for you. I can get them sourced, and if we want them in bulk, we can probably get them a bit cheaper. But it seriously was one of the best £10 I ever spent. And the conversations that started that day were just fantastic for us. Also, be aware of the availability of grants from the district. We've set aside a fairly substantial amount of money this year that clubs can access to help with membership and public image activities. They're not difficult to apply for. Get in touch with myself or District Treasurer Ewan, and we can send you out the form that you need. It's a one-page form, but it can help you with purchase of any sort of membership PI materials. We've already done things for a number of clubs. We've already helped Cowdenbeath Club. Cooper have an event on tomorrow that, sorry, today actually, Cooper event this afternoon, where we bought some things for them. But what we've done is we've bought generic ones so I can get them back and other clubs can get the use of them, but there's pull-ups and banners, etc. And also leaflets. We've managed to give leaflets to the Aberdeen clubs and things like that as well. So there's an awful lot of things we can do to help. There's an awful lot of ways we can help with the cost of an awful lot of these things. Please get in touch. And as I said earlier, there are a few clubs out there who are managing to recruit. There are a few clubs there who are doing quite well. So before I move on to the next part of what I've got to say, I'm going to ask Libby Seath from Carnegie Dunfermline Club to talk for just a few minutes about how her club has seen some positive gains in membership recently. So over to you, Libby.
Thanks, Alistair. Here we go. So much of my preamble you've covered in your slides, so I won't repeat. And I'll maybe just go straight to my examples. So Carnegie Rotary has always been informal, much more informal than most clubs back in the day. And one of the things we've done that I've noticed that we've done ever since I joined was that we have listened to one another and we've talked about how successful or not successful we are. And we clearly review each year what's gone well, what's not gone well, and we have opportunities. So we're not hidebound by rules, and we are informal, generally speaking, most of the time. Sometimes when some of the things that we've discussed, it's not pleased some members, they maybe don't think that's the right thing, but that has been a tiny, tiny minority. And over the 10 years or so that I've been in the club, I think we've only had one person who's really walked away, and that was for personal reasons. So the point you made, Alistair, about desire and ability, what we try to do is what we've always done is exactly what you talked about. So we do spread our payments on a monthly basis. We try very hard not to ask members to put their hands in their pockets regularly. And for example, recently we were talking about trying to increase this 10% for EPN and Foundation. And our recent current treasurer is somebody who has come back after a while being away, come back to join us and has been extremely active. And she was talking now about what can we do? So we already do gifted, and we discussed the possibility of using our gifted to send to Foundation or to EPN. The other thing that we do is we do encourage easy fundraising. So that takes a wee while just to get the habit formed, but once you do, everything you're buying goes through easy fundraising, a simple app on your machines, on your devices. And although it doesn't seem very much, it fairly mounts up. And I think we were over £600 and odd that we recently raised. So these little things mean that we can increase our giving by that 10%, and yet we've not had to put our hands in our pocket. And I think we need to keep thinking, and we need to keep raising suggestions. And there's no fear in our club if you want to make a suggestion. And not all suggestions will be accepted, but everything will be discussed, and there's certainly no judgment. With regards to money, we've always felt, how can we keep the cost down? We were always a breakfast club, but we stopped that, and we now meet in the evenings, and we are just purely coffee and cake. We bring our own cups, although a couple of members do bring some coffee in a flask, but most people bring their own cup, and we take it on the rota to bring cakes, biscuits, home baking, whatever. So there's very, very little cost. We always say it's an ease of attending. There are no rules about attending. We have one member who very, very rarely comes, but he reads everything that he's sent, and he occasionally pops in to see us. Alistair mentioned about joining. Is it transparent? Well, just as you explained, Alistair, that's exactly what we do. We chat to people, we give opportunities for conversation, and then we say, come along for a few meetings, and then if she or he seems really keen, then that's exactly what we say. We'll send us a wee paragraph about yourself, so we've got a bit of background, and we send that round and say, look, we'll get back in touch within a week. But there's never the sense that, well, I'm not sure whether or not you'll be able to join. It's always a case of, we just have to do this, make sure everyone knows who you are, and then we'll look forward to having you in the club as a new member. Signature projects. Little example here that actually brought us 2 or 3 members. So we meet in the Vine Centre at the foot of Garvick Hill, and our area, our geographical area, is really Tooch and Garvick. And we felt that we would like to, during the pandemic, put our efforts into really supporting Tooch. So we invited the minister in first to chat, because one of our other members attends that church, and then his son is a youth worker. And we said, look, how can we help? Just tell us what we can do. So we are always been about doing, although obviously meetings are important, but we always have our project planning meetings, and we chat about what we can actually do. Most clubs, I think we did 2 originally, you send emails around all the time, and then of course people don't answer. So on those nights, the board goes round, jobs are assigned, and you sign up for whatever it is you'd like to do. So it's done and dusted in a short space of time. So we raised money, we gave money to Tooth, we bought a fridge freezer. I think it was about being active, and it was about being seen. We collected clothes, we were around when we took the clothes down. Now obviously during most of the pandemic we couldn't be seen, but the minister just made sure that he shared what we had done to contribute to helping the community of Tooth. And then the other big project that's ongoing and that Heather visited recently is something called Play and Grow, and it's the Tooth Community Garden. And it started very small. The original plan was very small, but now it's quite huge, and there are other funders involved and other groups involved, quite a large network of people, and the Lindburn Regeneration Fund. But we're part of that. And yes, we've applied for a district grant, and yes, we're hoping to give them a big greenhouse, which will be installed hopefully next year. But it's the fact that we now have a rota, and a number of members go down there regularly on a Friday morning or a Saturday morning, and we weed, and we wear our tabards, and we're visible, and we take every opportunity to speak to people. So people walk their dogs, they walk past, they say, oh, this is looking really nice. So it was a green barren space, and now it's really colourful. But we're there, as I say, in our yellow regularly, and we make every effort to stop people if they stand beside us and say, oh, what's this? And we'll say, oh, well, this is Rotary, we're Carnegie, this is what we do. Come along, let's have a chat, or do you fancy coming help with the weeding? So it is that conversation and that personal approach. We are also, through that, and through another members' links and networks, we helped with a litter pick through the Caelliswood Wombles, which are just very close to where we focus our attentions. And through that, we met street champions, and through that, we met a couple of people walking their dogs, and chat, you've got your yellow on again, and you tell them what you're doing. And I think for me, years ago, I would very cagily ask people about Rotary. Do you think you might? But now I'm not cagey about it. Now I just say, well, this is Carnegie, and this is what we do, and why don't you come along? And you know, I make it very, very easy. So for the last 2 years that I was president, and then this year I'm responsible for membership and mentoring in the club. So I take that role seriously, and nobody gets away. So when we chat to anybody, it's like, would you fancy coming along? Just pop along, and we make sure that they're on our list. So those are kind of the main things, but the other membership side of things is that through doing all of that and through working in Tooth, the minister's son said to me, and I know he's hugely busy and just become a new dad, he said, you know, just seeing what you've done for us, I want to be part of that. And that was, oh God, that was music to our ears. So he joined, and then suddenly his wife 3 weeks early had her baby. And so we've not seen much of him in the last few weeks, but he responds to text. So I keep in touch with him through text. He sends pictures of the baby, and then he actually visited us a couple of weeks ago with the baby and his wife, and we all had a wee look. So that was really lovely. And he's really excited about joining and is keen to approach his networks in order to support us, to support communities. And the other member that we got recently, the new one, is a lady who from the town has a business in the town, the Happy Earth Place, and we got her to speak because of environment and sustainability. She came along and I just thought, oh, we want her. She was bouncy and attractive and a bit different, a bit quirky, and you could tell she was really keen and interested. And so again, I kept up with her on WhatsApp. I went and visited the shop, and I would highly recommend it. And back door of the King's Gate. So it's really, really good. And she immediately said, oh, well, I could do this, and I know them. And she knows half the people that are involved in the community garden at Tooth. And she used to work in social work and in, who was it with? Doesn't matter now. But she had lots of networks through Fife Council and immediately was keen to say, yeah, I can support that. I can find this person for you. Oh, I know him really, really well. And so our members are going into her shop, which is great for her. But she's also got a bucket there for us. And when she does plant sales or she does book swaps, then again, she thinks of us, and very often it will be shared or 50-50 or whatever. And I think it's about that dynamism that's attractive to people and saying it's easy, just pop along when you can. So all of those things have worked towards us having 4 new members in the last 18 months. And we have probably got 3 in the pipeline to support and just keep in touch with. And there's a couple of reasons why they may not join us soon, but I think it's very, very likely that they will join us within the next year or so. So I think I've probably talked enough, Alistair, and used up enough time, but I hope that is just a little taste of it makes such a difference. And I think success breeds success, and enthusiasm breeds enthusiasm, etc. So thanks very much for listening.
Thanks very much, Libby. That was absolutely fantastic, and an awful lot of really great examples there of good practice and inspirational, really, absolutely inspirational.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for that. To finish off, I'm going to share my screen again. Because it wouldn't be fair, really, to talk about membership without talking about new clubs, because they are important. And I'm asking a question here. Do you want a different Rotary? Are you someone who at the moment is sitting in your club thinking, I like the idea of what Libby's talking about. I like that sound of that sort of club. That's not the sort of club I'm in just now. I want to go in a new direction. And you can do that. You can do Rotary your way with a new club. And there are so many opportunities to start a new Rotary club. You can do something to serve a cause or a community need. There could be a particular community issue, child nutrition, homelessness, something like that, that you really feel passionate about, that you can get people on board with. You can reconnect with Rotary alumni, and I've had a number of fascinating conversations with John Milne, and I would recommend anyone who wants to speak about alumni to speak to John, because we're not just talking here about, people assume Rotary alumni are only people who, maybe pass RILA candidates and things like that. But the Rotary alumni are much more than that. They're really anyone that we've had contact with over the years. And we should be able to go back to these people and encourage them to become part of what it is we do. Is there somewhere in your locality where there's previously been a club? maybe over the last 5 or 10 years, where you think we can go back in and do something again? We've had a number of clubs that closed down. There may be an opportunity to go back in there and just re-establish something different, something new. Are you in an area with high population or high business growth? And DG Ken has a fantastic demographic paper that he's produced that shows areas all over our district where there are holes, where there are gaps that needs a new club to fill in. Are there underrepresented community groups? And by this I'm talking about possibly ethnic groups, age groups that aren't in your club, immigrant groups or something like that. But you know, we have to be open to start something with underrepresented community groups. Are there any big businesses or organisations that are active in your community? A number of you will be in towns or cities where you have a large business, and it may be possible to do something. There's a number of clubs down south that are based in hospitals, for example. I come across a few ideas yesterday. We have already in our district the E-Club of Aviation. But what about the E-Club of Education? Or the E-Club of Medication? Or any of these sort of things? You know, can we put together groups with a similar background, whether that be doctors or teachers or whatever, into an E-group to work in our district? Satellite clubs. We still have so many opportunities, and I spoke to clubs last year and said, you know, if you can't get people to join your existing club model, create a new club model as a satellite club and get people to join that instead. And hopefully it will grow and you can feed off each other. It's such a great thing to have new people involved. And possibly volunteers out there who don't want that club model that's in your area just now, as I said there, push them into satellite clubs, or alternatively, just start a new club. So how do you go about it? Well, actually, it's easy. Starting a new club is incredibly easy. You've got to think outside the box. So think about why you're going to do it and make that decision and do it. Let district know, let the DG know, or let me know, or the district secretary, so that we can then support you through the process. You then need to get a few other people interested. At first, 5 or 6 will be enough. But get together with that 5 or 6 people and decide on your first project and make it a good one. Make it a really good one, because that is what is going to sell your new club idea to new members. So you plan that first project, you plan that first thing that you're going to be involved with, and you recruit help along the way. When you get up to 12 or 14, you'll get provisional status. And at provisional status, you have all of the cover, the insurance cover and the protection of being a provisional Rotary club. And you go out there and you continue to recruit people. And eventually, with 20 on board, you charter as a new club. Leave the difficult stuff, leave the paperwork and all that sort of nonsense to the district team. Just go out there and concentrate on getting your project and getting your people. Because it has been proven time and time again, that is how you do it. And there are people out there willing to join Rotary if you can produce a model for them that suits their lifestyle and what it is they're interested in. Starting a new club is challenging, it's fun, it's exciting, it's rewarding. I can speak from a degree of experience here. It helps bring new people, skills and ideas into Rotary. And that's what we need. We need refreshing. We need the new ideas. I mean, we brought in a new member to our club last year who is really, his thinking has completely changed so many of the things that we do. And he's turning out to be a fantastic addition to the team. And our challenge this year is to charter at least 3 new Rotary clubs. By the end of this Rotary year, that is my aim, and I will move heaven and earth to do that. Because those 3 new clubs will give us 60 new members minimum. But they'll also revitalise the other clubs in their areas. Don't underestimate the effect that has in other clubs in the areas that those clubs join, because it initially seems like a challenge to that club, but it's not. It revitalises them, it makes them reassess what it is they're doing, and it gets them off their backsides and out there and doing what we should be doing as Rotarians. What I'm asking you today is, can you be part of one of those new clubs? Now, if it's something that you're interested in, next Saturday, 2nd October, 10 AM, I'm having a new club formation seminar. It'll take about an hour, and the link will go out to everyone this week. There's no obligation that you have to go away from that and actually start a new club, but I'd be interested in seeing as many people as possible who are interested in hearing about the processes and the procedure that we have to go through to start new clubs and the best way to do it. And we're going to hear about so many of the success stories of the recent new clubs that have been formed in the district. The following Saturday as well, there will be a membership seminar, and we'll send out the links for that later. Again, just dealing with some ways that we can assist clubs in helping with getting some new members. So those are the two important things. But please, if it's something that's in the back of your mind that you'd like to be involved with a new club, maybe you're not comfortable with setting it up yourself, but if there are 2 or 3 people who maybe want to get together in an area and look at a new club, let's chat about it. No obligation, but it's always worth a chat to see if there's something there that we can take forward. So that's everything for me today on membership. Thank you all very much for listening. Thanks to Libby, who I thought was absolutely inspirational today. Thanks very much for that. And back over to you, Heather. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Alistair, and thanks to Libby as well. Really appreciated. I think fantastic, just that whole challenge about mindset shift and how you get people involved, but really kind of practical hints and tips, which is I think what people need. And I think the fact that people have been asking for copies of the presentation is testament to how useful people are finding what's coming through. I thought you were both really great, and I know that this is the start of a conversation that you want to continue to have with clubs individually and also as part of the seminars coming up. So a really great way to promote that and to give people the context for that. People were asking about the presentation going out, and we'll put the slides out with the notes, and we'll also put the link with the recording. And please do follow up with Alistair to pick up on any issues that you would like to pursue or any ideas that you've got for your club. As Alistair says, we've got resources put aside to sort you by way of people and also financial support. So yeah, big thanks, Alistair, and also Libby for the preparation and the inspiration that came through all of that. Very much appreciated. So moving on, Cass, our introduction on the changes. We've got some changes being proposed to our district standing orders. I think you're going to just talk us through that before we move on.
I will do, Heather, thank you very much. I'll just take a step back and say a little bit about what the standing orders are. The constitution of the district is in the constitution of Rotary Great Britain and Ireland, and any changes that are made to that constitution are held in standing orders in districts. So that, for example, the constitution allows for one assistant governor, and if we want more than one assistant governor, we need to change the standing orders. There are also other areas where we're able to change them as well. So that's what the standing orders are about. And there are 3 parts to the follow-up presentations, which first one will be dealt with by Ken, and then Ken will also talk about the training for presidents-elect. And that requires a vote, and finally a vote to clear up, if you like, the standing orders. The Rotary in Great Britain and Ireland Constitution was changed last year, 2020, and it therefore put our standing orders out of synchronisation because bylaws were renumbered. As I explained at the beginning, all of these 3 votes, which will be taken separately, requires a 2/3 majority. We'll see if we see that in the voting. We'll do the voting when it comes to that in the same way as before, which is you'll be asked to vote for, and then you're asked to vote against. In particular, on the reorganisation of district areas, when you vote, you're voting on the whole part of this, not on your particular area. So you're voting on the whole proposal. So I'm hoping that I might be able to see whether or not we have a 2/3 majority. But those of you who have got the full screen will know that you have to flick through 5 screens to see anything. So might not be able to get it clear today. If that's the case, we'll revert to a digital vote during the week. I hope that is clear, and I'll now pass this over to DGE Ken, I think, to speak. Thank you, Ken.
Right, I think that's me unmuted, ready to go. Heather, could you put me on spotlights? I don't know if it's on grid or whatever, so.
Yeah, will do.
Okay, thank you. So the organisation of the district areas, at the moment, our standing orders, as Kath has said, allows us certain things. And one of those things is we're allowed 8 assistant governors. We currently have 89 clubs. And some of the district governors are covering 13, and I think, I'm not sure if Area 3 is actually covering 14 clubs. That's a big workload. And we struggle to get people to stand for the role of assistant governor. So one of the ways of dealing with that is to change the number of clubs that they look after. And if I look at some of the other districts, the average is about 5 or 6 clubs that the assistant governors look after, and in a much smaller area. I think with the exception of Ireland, District 1010 has got the biggest area when we think about, we're just north of the Forth to Lerwick. So leaving to Lerwick and Stornoway to Stonehaven, we're probably the best part of 400 miles north-south and 200 east-west. So simplifying for the AGs, the workload hopefully will attract more AGs, more people to be assistant governors. So the proposal today is not about what clubs are in what area, but more around the number of assistant governors that we have. And the proposal is to go to 13. That's not unlucky for some, I am assured. And I assured you it's not as well. But more about trying to get ourselves down to an average of 7 clubs per assistant governor. And if we think about the workload that they have, assistant governors look after each of their club assemblies and visit that. Each of the assistant governors hold area presidents meetings regularly. Some are held 4 times a year. I know some areas are doing it once a month, because that's what the area presidents want. And at the end of the day, the assistant governors are here to support clubs and to support the presidents in our clubs. So my proposal is that we go from 8 to 13, that we reduce the workload so we can attract more people to be an assistant governor, which is an extremely rewarding role. Ask any one of them what it's like and the benefit and what they get from doing that. I don't see that there's any major cost impact at all. There's no difference to the number of time clubs are visited, whether it's on Zoom or whether it's in person. It's all about workload and making the task so much more amenable and us being able to attract people. There is a huge support for assistant governors in terms of their preparation for doing the role. There are courses on the RI Learning Centre. There is a preparation weekend for all the assistant governors throughout Britain and Ireland get together, and that's in February. And this year it'll be in Warwick. There is ongoing monthly meetings between all assistant governors in our area, where they can all share experiences, share best practice, and learn from each other. And as I say, the cost is negligible, apart from there might be 1 or 2 more area presidents meetings, but I really don't see that. With you can have that meeting wherever, cost-free, and if it is the price of a cup of coffee, I'm sure the presidents will pay for that. So my proposal is we move from 8 to 13, that the workload is reduced, that we then consider afterwards the areas that are allocated, and that we make life simple. Now, the clubs that end up in each area, as I said, is not part of this proposal. The proposal is solely around, do we move from 8 to 13? I don't see any difference between areas working together, for example. So if Area 1 wanted to work with Area 2, and that's predominantly a lot of the clubs that really were in Area 1. It's no different from Area 3 and Area 4 just now, coming together and working for the car raffle that raises £40,000 every year for charity. So I don't see any difference in that. I don't see any difference in clubs or areas working together for cross-learning between clubs, for doing joint projects. The proposal is simply to make the AG's role that much easier and for us to be able to recruit more AGs. My second proposal, and we'll come on to the voting of this after, my second proposal is really a tidy up of what we started last year on what was called club leadership seminars. And this has been inconsistent with what's been happening elsewhere in Rotary, where presidents-elect preparation seminars are held at the same time as we have held club leadership ones. So my proposal is that we formalize what we started this past year with DG Heather, that presidents-elect come together for their preparation, and that will be in March. That makes no difference to how we manage the rest of the club leadership. That is simply dealt with, and let me explain how. So there's messages come down for the incoming incoming governor in January. We share that with the district officers in February, and then we share that with the presidents in the bigger group for district in support of the presidents for their year, and we're offering to do that in March. The presidents then have the opportunity to get with their teams and see how they're going to cover their club plans for the following year. And their leadership team, the club leadership teams, can then come together for any preparation around the district assembly. And that's in April. So I think there's a natural cascade from January, from the district governors' preparation through the district officers, through the presidents, and then there's a consistent message for all the club leadership, whether it's secretary, treasurer, foundation, all the different things. And seminars will be put around that in April around the district assembly. So the proposal is simple, that we go with presidents-elect preparation seminars and formalize that in our standing orders. And I'm quite happy to take questions on any of that.
Thanks, Ken. So we'll take questions or comments now on either or both of the proposals prior to moving to a vote. Can you use your electronic hand to indicate you want to speak, just given the numbers on the call, please?
So Bill Wilson of Nairn. Bill.
Ken, I'm sorry, I might have made a boo-boo there. What was I voting on?
Nothing yet. We'll come to the vote, Bill. We're really just taking if there were any questions on these topics.
I'm sorry. Forgive me. My hearing's not of the best, and Zoom is a tad difficult for me.
That's fine. I'm not seeing any other questions, Heather.
I don't see any hands up.
So Linda in East Sutherland?
Yeah.
Linda.
Unmute yourself, Linda, please.
You know, there's a suggested fine for being asked to unmute of something.
I thought I had, my apologies. I can see your point, Ken, in cutting the workload for the different areas. But in area 1, I don't see how it's going to help so long that, you know, we are so spread out geographically, and even having 2 district governors in our area, you know, we are the Highlands, you know, we're all compact, we're all rural, we all intermix with each other anyway. Sure. And I just don't see how that will work in the Highlands. But I do get your point about trying to work, you know, cut the workload. I just don't see how it would help Sue in our case.
And understand the concern on that. So again, there's what, I'm not sure how many clubs there are in that, but there's a big spread, and it's how do we make that simpler. That doesn't stop people working together, but the big thing is when we go back to face or on Zoom, it's the number of meetings. So if a district governor, if an assistant governor meets a club at the club assembly, meets the club presidents, does a couple of other visits, and if there's 13 clubs, you know, all of a sudden you're up to 60 meetings a year, which is, you know, over 2 a week just for an assistant governor, and it's an unmanageable workload. So really, we're about, if they are meeting with clubs 2 or 3 times, and in the big area, especially in the Highland, just sheer mileage travelled. So I understand the concern, but I really understand the difficulty in getting assistant governors going forward. So I really do recommend that. Hilary.
Thanks, Ken. I'm wondering if you planned, or the district has planned, that there will be some form of evaluation and review if this change goes forward. I'm not so convinced as you are that the lack of people coming forward for AG posts is due to workload. So it's just evaluation and reviews, my question or my points.
As always, we would review that, Hilary, on an ongoing basis. And if it's not working, we would need to adapt it or whatever we need to do to look at that. So very comfortable with that. And if you're offering to be an AG, I'll be...
No.
Come on, Hilary.
John Milne.
Been there, got the t-shirt.
Yeah. John Milne.
Morning, Ken. I would very much support the concept of restructuring in terms of areas with smaller groups of clubs. My question is about what is seen as the process. If it goes ahead today, what's the process of restructuring in terms of, does that go out to the district? Do the clubs involved have a vote, as it were, in terms of which clubs are going to be with which area? I can remember years ago some discussions that involved area 3 and 4, because there are clubs in area 4 that are actually geographically part of area 3.
Okay, and understand that. So that we've produced a proposal of some kind just to show how it might work, John. We'll ask clubs for their input, but obviously we want to get the average at somewhere around 7 for the club. So we will ask them what they want. We'll consider it, but I don't see it as a formal consultation, because we do need to try and get the average going in that. Does that make sense?
Anticipated timescales for change?
1st of July next year. So should this go through, we'll immediately be looking for the additional assistant governors.
Thanks, Ken.
And Andrew Sim.
Yes, thank you. I just wondered, Ken, do you have any idea of whether or not the AGs that we have in place at the moment see this as a way forwards? And in particular, is this a an idea that has come from assistant governors because they are overworked, or is this something which hasn't been discussed at the assistant governor level?
It has been discussed, and it was put at the last assistant governor meeting that I held myself, so that they were aware of it before it came out. And certainly I've had no objection to that.
Was it an idea that came from the assistant governors in the first place, though?
No, it came from me, just looking at the workload and knowing how difficult it's been. I mean, for example, we've been looking for an assistant governor for Area 7 now for several months. And it's how do we make that workload so much better, but the comments I've had fed directly back to me support it.
Sure.
Okay, thank you for the question.
I think Brian from Dingwall has his hand up, but isn't forming into the queue. Ken.
Okay, Brian.
Thank you. Thank you, Ken. Excuse me. Yes, I agree with Hilary that it's not necessarily the workload that prevents you from getting assistant governors. However, all of the presidents of Area 1 met some time ago, and we were united in agreeing that this change to your structure is not necessarily going to produce the result that you want. And I personally think that it won't. That changing Area 1, for example, and taking clubs out is not going to make it easier for the assistant governor in Area 1 to work. Heather earlier on had said quite a lot about using modern technology for the clubs to perform their duties in the future. And that applies also to assistant governors. And we can't see as Area 1 presidents that if you use modern technology, the workload is going to be substantially, if you don't use it, sorry, the workload is going to be substantially more difficult, and taking clubs out make it materially easier. So we are, as a unit north of the Kessel Bridge, all 9 clubs believe that this change is unnecessary and certainly will not work. I could go on about the change to clubs, and I hope that there will be consultation from yourselves on where clubs go and where clubs don't go, because I can tell you now that Dingwall and Shetland do not want to move from Area 1.
Okay.
May I just come in and say, as a secretary, that for clarity, I've put this in the chat. This discussion is about a vote to increase to 13 AGs. It's not a discussion about the content of areas. That's a separate discussion.
Thanks, Garth, for that.
But if I may say so again, can I?
You may.
That the Area 1 presidents as a group do not believe you can divorce these 2 issues, that you must consider them together.
The Constitution allows us to divorce the 2 issues. I'm sorry to be a pain, but I'm here to do the Constitution, and that allows us to do that. And this is a free vote where anyone who is against it is quite at liberty to vote in the way that they wish. That's why we vote. Thank you.
And I'm sorry to be a pain as well. But the fact remains that it is disrespectful to expect us to vote on a particular issue when we are not discussing the reasons why the issue is necessary in the first place.
I think we put a paper out, Brian, didn't we?
We did.
Yeah, you did put a paper out 7 days ago. The first paper told us not to share it with anyone, and the second paper was when you put the papers for the council meeting out.
I don't want to get into a discussion that takes up time, but the paper went out timelessly. A paper to change the standing orders needs to go out 4 weeks in advance, and it did so.
John.
I think it may not have been shared within clubs. There is that possibility.
John Johnson.
Just a quick one. Are we not in the situation at the moment that we've got space for 10 AGs running 8 areas? Was that not what was previously done?
We have 8, and Kath will correct me on this one, we've got 8 AGs plus 2 roving AGs potentially that could fill in roles. Now they're not they are not allocated to areas as such, John. So this is formalising, so we actually have 13 areas and 13 AGs to cover that.
Yeah, I kind of my question is no, it's not really a question. If we're struggling to cover 8 AGs, are we expecting a sudden influx to get 13? I think we're going to struggle, personally.
Possibly. By reducing the workload, we're hoping that would make it so much more palatable, John.
Yeah, I understand the reasons. I'm aware of apathy to becoming part of district, that's all.
And we're trying to make that different.
Ken,
so, I'll come back to you. Robin, go for it.
Ken, just to say that I was asked a couple of years ago if I would be happy to help out AG from time to time, and I agreed that I would do. Now, he never came back and asked me.
We'll change that then, Robin, so that that's an easy. So well, that's recorded. John Home.
Thanks, Ken. First, the personal one. I mean, I've been twice an AG in 2 different districts and was AG7 here for 3 years with the 13 clubs. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. But then I made a commitment to be a Rotarian and volunteered for district, knowing what I was taking on. It's getting people to sort of have the enthusiasm to take things on because they believe in what they're doing. This is going to be great for the AGs, perhaps, but not necessarily for the clubs, because when I ran as an AG in Area 7, I didn't just have presidents' meetings, I called them area meetings, and we could get up to 20 or 30 people coming to them. And 13 clubs got together, usually the presidents, and it promoted fellowship and cross-party talks, if you like to call it that. You won't get that with just 5 clubs meeting unless you have inter-area clubs. I don't think this has not been thought out as to the levels of where, why aren't people coming in? Disillusionment with district, or because of the workload, or a combination? There's more to this than just, as John Johnston said, I came in as AG 10 because this was in Graham's era. I came in as AG 10 to start with because they couldn't get 10 people to be, have 2 supernumeraries for the 8. And it's been the same ever since. There needs to be a root and branch look at the support for clubs at district level through AGs. Thanks, Ken.
Thanks, John, and thanks, Ken. And I think there is a wider point in there, isn't there, about, this is one specific proposal. There are a wider set of issues here that we are working on as a district team and in discussions, with clubs about making sure that we are targeting what we do in the way that helps clubs to deliver their priorities, and also offering training, support and development opportunities that we hope will increasingly encourage people to come in and be part of the district team, given how important that support is the club. So this is not being proposed as a panacea to what we recognise as a wider range of issues. It's being proposed as one specific element of a wider approach to expanding that opportunity of being part of the district team and to respond to a specific issue, which we've identified, and we think it's important to resolve, and also to remember that this is a very specific proposal about expanding the number of AGs, not about where clubs sit within those specific areas. So I would propose to move to the vote now on both of these proposals, please. So in relation to these 2 votes on the changes to the standing order, in relation to motion number 1, which is that the number of areas in District 1010 be amended to 13, Ken is proposing that, DGE Ken McLennan is proposing that, and I am seconding that particular motion. So Kath, we are ready to move to the vote now, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. Thank you very much. Can I see, this is now the club votes only. Can I see those who are in favour of the motion? Please will you use the reactions hands, otherwise I can't really see everything. Please will you vote in favour? Those in favour. Okay. Can I now see the sorry, can I now see the personal votes in favour, please? Okay. Can you take your hands down? Can I now see the club votes against, please? This is the club votes against.
Can you make sure if you put your hand up first that you've definitely taken it down after your vote as well, just to make it clear for Kath? Thanks.
This is what, yeah, this is those against. Okay. And the personal votes against, please. If you take down your hand, if you're a club vote, and the personal votes against. Thank you. I think I see a 2/3 majority, but I think in the circumstances, since so many people have spoken, that I would propose DG Heather to hold an electronic vote this week on this one. Are you content with that?
I think that sounds like the best way forward, Kath. Thank you.
Okay, can we move to the second motion?
So the second motion was that the club leadership seminars be discontinued and that seminars are for presidents-elect only. The proposer is Ken McLennan and the seconder is DGN Jim Hatter.
Thank you, Heather. Can I see the club votes for those for this, please? Can I see the person? Can you take down your hand if it's a club vote and now put up a personal vote for those of you who have personal votes? I just need to remind people who may not see hands up from some people that not everyone has voting rights at this meeting. Okay, thank you very much. Can you take your hands down? May I now see club votes against, please? This is club votes against. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, may I now see personal votes against? Thank you. There's no doubt that is carried with a 2/3 majority. I can see that quite clearly. Can we go to the third motion, which, would you put it, Heather, please? This is just simply tidies up the standing orders. It does not take account of the fact that we have no clear majority on the first proposal. Thank you.
Yes, so the third motion then is that administrative amendments in light of these changes and in light of amendments to the RIBI constitution be made, proposed by Kath Chorley, seconded by Jim Hatter.
Okay, may I see the club votes for to put it colloquially, tidying up of the standing orders? Thank you. Can you take your hands down and show me the personal votes, please? Thank you. Can you take your hands down and show me the votes against? These are the club votes against, please. Club votes against tidying up the standing orders. Okay. Thank you. May I see the personal votes against the standing orders being tidied? Thank you. That is a clear majority. Thank you very much. Thank you, Heather. I'll pass everything back to you.
Thank you, Kath, and thanks everybody for your support with the voting process there. So moving on to the next item on our agenda. This is a proposal about some thinking about a changed approach to district awards, and I'd like to invite IPDG Alistair Robb to speak to that, please.
Okay, thank you very much, Heather. I'm going to share my screen again very quickly, hopefully. Just give me a second. I'm not well prepared this time. District awards. Okay, normally at this district council meeting, it would have been my job to announce and award all of the district prizes. However, last year, as we all know, was an incredibly difficult one, and there's an awful lot of the things that we would normally have been looking at that just were not possible. So we decided fairly early on last year that we would suspend the district awards for this year. And that gave us an opportunity to look at the way the whole district award thing was done and the way it was structured. So it gave us a chance to kind of reevaluate all of the awards, to look and see whether they were still as relevant as they maybe were when we first started to do them. The current position is that we have 14 different awards that are available every year. The criteria for those awards are not well defined. They're very open. And the position is that the clubs are left to self-nominate if they feel that they're eligible for an award. And there's a number of years where the award has gone just simply to the only club who have nominated themselves. And I'd never ever felt particularly comfortable with that. So what we're proposing is that we cut those 14 awards down to 7. There will be 7 new district awards available. The criteria for those awards will be well defined, but more importantly, they'll be driven by innovation and excellence rather than just participation in a particular event. They will reward new thinking, new ideas, and developing good practice in each of our areas. The presidential citation remains the important thing, but it should become the minimum standard for every club. It should be the minimum that every club seeks to achieve as the presidential citation. But I think crucially in all of this, that for the new awards, the clubs will be nominated by their AGs or by the service team leaders rather than self-nominating. The proposed new awards will be for international projects, community projects, Youth Rota Kids Interact projects, club PR, foundation, membership innovation, and one for the best Rotaract club. Now, the exact criteria for these will be discussed with the DG team, and they'll produce criteria for these awards. We'll then circulate all of this to the clubs and the AGs. Assuming that everyone is happy with that, we'll move forward next year in May to ask for the nominations from the AGs. Now, clubs feel free to promote yourself to your AG, but it will be the AGs who will be asked for the nominations for these awards. And the awards then will be presented in June next year as part of our overall celebration of the year at the district conference, Heather's district conference in Glenrothes. Additionally, we will do an audit of the current awards, who has them, etc., so that they can be either reused or replaced where need be. So that is the proposal, really, in a nutshell, that we will take the existing 14 awards, we'll cut them down to 7 awards that hopefully will address the main areas of focus that we we have as a district in our service activities, and that clubs will get clearly defined criteria as to what's expected to win these awards, and that they'll be nominated by AGs rather than self-nominated. That really is it as far as the awards are concerned, but I'm happy to take any questions. But as I said, we'll put all of this out to clubs. We'll put a paper out there once we've decided on the criteria, etc., and look for some comments coming back before we cast it in stone. We have until May, June next year to get this right, but I think this is a start to kind of making the awards a bit more relevant, possibly, than they have been in the past. Thanks very much, Heather.
Thanks, Alistair. That was great, really useful to see that on the slides. Interestingly enough, there's a little thread in the chat which you might not have caught up with because you were presenting there, which is about a suggestion about an environmental award being included. So, which I thought was a good suggestion, certainly. So, I mean, that's the kind of thing that we're looking for coming back, isn't it? Just suggestions and ideas. Yeah, lots of support for the environmental suggestion, given it's a new area of focus, which is interesting.
Brilliant, thank you.
All right. Well, I don't see any other hands coming up, and obviously people know where to find you, Alistair, and where to find any of us to give any feedback on that, and they'll get the opportunity when the paper goes out as well. So again, thank you very much for that and presenting their thinking on all of that. I'd like to move on now and ask Douglas Scott from the Rotary Club of West Fife to say something about the Seeds of Social Action initiative, please, Douglas. And can I say thank you to you for offering to coordinate this on behalf of District. It's genuinely much appreciated and very close to my heart, as you know. So over to you.
Thank you, Heather. This was a subject of a presentation to District Assembly and was followed up with a subsequent dedicated Zoom session. It was an idea that has captured the interest of several clubs in the district, but I must have made too much noise about this because DG Heather has asked me to be the coordinator for District, and not wanting to duck the commitment I accepted, but in no way would I profess to have all the answers, but I'm happy to try and find out those answers to any questions that arise. It was the theme of Andrew Carnegie's philanthropic projects to place funds in the hands of those eager to see what kind of difference they could make in their communities. This project is unlikely to have the scale of Carnegie, but Seeds of Social Action has been described as a mini grant revolution by offering funding and mentoring support to young people, helping them to make differences that they feel are important, helping young people to take action with the help of Rotary at a local level. It's a joint collaboration between the Rotaract E-Club, GBNI, and Rotary. Started with the Rotary Club of Guernsey. The scheme has been made a pilot in District 1110 and in this District 1010. For that reason, the framework of the project already exists and documented guidance is available now. And an online entry form is there waiting for your club to be added to the drop-down list should you wish to accept the offer to use it. It has to be made clear that the mini grants do not come from Foundation or District. They are funded by your own Rotary Club. And it's suggested that the award is £200. £200 that can make a huge difference to that kind of age group and the projects that they would like to go ahead with. I haven't mentioned the age groups yet. The grant awards are open to groups of young people in the 11 to 17-year-old category, and either groups or individuals in the 18 to 25-year-old category. So it's just groups in the young people in the 11 to 17, and I'll come to that later. The applicant will receive, as part of this award, the opportunity to discuss their idea with a member of your Rotary Club, help in submitting their idea via the application form if they need it, financial support to the amount of £200 per project, but it can be less than that if you think you want to spread it out more. And mentoring throughout the agreed project timeline. Mentoring is a key part, and there has to be a considerable amount of experience within Rotary clubs to assist young people. It can link different generations. Mentoring, in order to safeguard all children, the project is open to 11 to 17-year-olds, only as part of a group. And this is different from the system which would be used in the English district. But Kath has advised us that this is the way this particular group should be addressed within this project. And a teacher and a youth leader would be present during all mentoring sessions, but the sessions can be in person or through a digital medium. The clubs may limit the size of the groups if that's in the best interests of the young people, and mentors for those aged under 18 should join the PVG scheme by contacting District Safeguarding Officer, who I believe is Alistair Robb. As well as having an idea of a project and working on delivering it, the awardees must be able to commit to a series of online mentoring sessions, submitting a report on activities undertaking. And some examples of the projects could be promoting peace in their community, such as raising awareness of bullying, domestic abuse, helping the homeless. It could be protecting the environment and getting involved with litter cleanups, planting trees, repurposing, recycling, awareness, etc. Supporting learning initiatives, raising literary levels, supplying devices to digitally excluded young people, teaching new skills, helping entrepreneurs, creating opportunities for work for all generations, raising awareness of health issues, raising awareness of where and how to access help, importance of vaccination and hygiene, identifying solutions for good nutrition. There's a growing belief that Rotary has to be more service and project centred rather than centred on meals and meetings. This is a community project that has the capability of attracting new members. It's a win-win situation that can make Rotary so much more relevant in our communities. So the bottom line is, guidance is ready and can be issued to any club interested in taking part. The online entry form is ready, and all it is waiting for is for you to add your club's name to it. So if you wish to be involved, please email me, get back to me, and I'll make sure that your club gets added to the list, and I can send you the necessary guidance to let you get your project up and running, but the guidance is now ready. And that's all I would add.
Thanks, Douglas. I really appreciate that, taking a few minutes just to remind people that that opportunity is there. If people are interested, one of the things that we could do is potentially turn one of the DG drop-ins over to perhaps pulling together a discussion on that as well, if people would be interested in finding out more. The guidance is pretty self-explanatory, and I suppose the sort of short strap line is a small amount of money to support huge ideas of young people. And given that that's the thing that we're all struggling to do, which is to engage with young people, I think it could be a really impactful thing. And thanks again for supporting that at district level. There's a huge amount of support from Rotaract there as well, so minimum investment financially and in terms of time and effort, I think, for maximum return. So many thanks for that. Great. So moving on, that takes us on to any other business, which given the business focus of our district council meetings, we ask for in advance of the meeting. We haven't received any indications of any other business for the meeting. So I would like to hand over now to Carol Stewart for the vote of thanks, please.
Thanks very much, Heather. Well, the end of the first meeting, and I am very conscious that I stand between Sunday lunch, Sunday lunch and your Sunday afternoon activity. So first of all, thank you very much. If I could ask everybody to bear with me for just a last moment or two and show you appreciation for the wide-ranging list that I have here who've made this morning happen. It is, as often the case, the business meeting. It is the opportunity for everybody to come together and to get through the matters of the district. So to you, in terms of the preparation of the finances and all that you do, and the less contentious votes, the least contentious vote of the morning, I'm sure you'll be delighted at that. For all the others, in terms of Ken for bringing forward, and to each and every one of you for your discussions, this is our district, and it is important that everybody has their say and has their opportunity. This wouldn't be our district council meeting without you all being involved and you all making sure that your opportunity to be heard is completed. It is, as always, when it comes to the business, ably overseen by Kath Chorley, our District Secretary. Kath, for all the work that you do before, during and after the meetings. Thank you very much for that. But it is often as well, not just about the business, it's about the opportunity to hear from others. Alistair and Libby. Yeah, let's be honest, because we've all been there. When you see membership on the agenda, you kind of go, we're trying, please, not district telling us again about what we must do about membership. We've all been there, and some of us in this call are perhaps still there. But you know what, guys, what an opportunity you've given us this morning. What a great number of suggestions and some inspiration. It was amazing. And if everybody can get an opportunity to take one thing away from those presentations, I'd ask you to do that. And let's see that enthusiasm and that fun that happens in every club. Let's see that enthused across every screen and through every community that there is. So to the two of you, thank you very much. And there is no better way than to do that, than to be supported and supporting our youngsters and our future. And I think, Douglas, watch that volunteering, because once Heather asks you to volunteer for one thing, you'll end up volunteering for something else as well. But Douglas, again, for your time and for taking on the seeds of social action, thank you. So that only leaves two other people, two other groups to thank. One is a person. It is our new DG Chirpy. Sorry, Heather, that's going to stick. For ensuring that we are finishing on time, and we are going to finish on time, which is brilliant. And finally, to each and every one of you, I said earlier on, and it is absolutely worth repeating, a district council meeting is not a district council meeting without all the clubs and all the individuals. To have 61 clubs represented, I'm hoping you're all still here this morning, and to have everybody participate, and for you to give of your time, not just this morning, but hopefully in some of the things you picked up here and you will take out and you will continue to make a difference in your community. So to you as well, I say a final thank you. Enjoy Rotary, have fun, and can I now ask you to show your appreciation of everybody in the usual manner. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Kath, and again, thanks very much everybody for giving of the time on a Sunday morning. I hope you found the meeting useful. I very much appreciate you all being here, and I'll now formally close the meeting. Enjoy the rest of your weekend and see you all soon. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thanks, Heather.
Thank you. Thanks, Heather.